This is a special episode of the Wicked Theory podcast. This is our recappy review breakdown of Black Panther, the biggest movie
of the year
so far.
Yeah,
we are 2 months in.
it's a but it's a monster.
It's a monster.
Well, I gotta say, it made $75 million on Friday.
On Friday,
Just Friday.
projected. Last I saw projected, because it's gonna have a 4-day weekend.
Yeah, projected 210.
213 I saw on Deadline.com.
Yeah, the extended weekend. So it turns out it was a smart weekend.
But that number keeps going up every time I see it, though.
Yeah.
And it keeps going up that projection keeps going up by 3 or 4 million. So by the time we get to Monday, actually, that number could be closer to like 20, closer to 220.
Yeah.
The 75 now, was that just a Friday total? Because they said, all right, so Thursday was another 26 million.
Right.
So it was already at 101 million.
Right.
In the course of a day and a half, basically.
That's mad.
And this is what threw me off when I was on Deadline.com, because all of a sudden I was reading one article that was about the 4-day weekend kind of total, and then this other article that came out after it that was like, listed first, was about the weekend, regular kind of weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday total, which is like some 70s or 80s number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's all these different breakdowns. You can get lost in that shit. Like, I stopped reading one of the articles because I was like, okay, you guys are breaking down minutia. Yeah. Different ways to look at it. The opening night for Thursday broke records. Like, you know what I mean? It's breaking records left and right. Like, like it's the Olympics or something.
Yeah. Well, it's starting to feel like what football does. Every time somebody breaks the most minor record now, it's a gigantic deal.
Yeah, we got to wave a flag.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's something to ballyhoo.
Right.
There's a word of the week. Ballyhoo. So this is, maybe I'll introduce us real quick in case you're not familiar with who we are.
Sure.
Wicked Theory Podcast is our usual haunt. I'm Bill Sweeney. We got Uncle Jay.
You know me, baby.
He is simultaneously nobody's uncle, but yet everybody's uncle. We got Ed O'Hare, we'll call you.
Ready to serve.
That's his actual name. We got my buddy Dom.
What's up?
Longtime friend. We were in Nam together. Yep. And we got my brother Bob.
Present.
He's here. So that's it. That's the roll call.
Yeah. Now, I will say, to get into this movie, because I was coming to the game late because I had a very busy week, did not do pre-sales. I do the Movie Pass thing.
Congratulations. You're special.
And I tried catching an 11 a.m. show at the AMC Aviation 12 in Linden, New Jersey.
Nobody cares.
And it was like literally... the whole
I killed Dom with that one. He's dead.
Line from the concession stand was out the door.
Oh yeah. Us too.
And getting in when I finally got to a ticket booth, all of the showings were until 2:00 were
this thing's a behemoth.
Sold out.
Wow.
So I ended up having to go to the AMC Jersey Gardens, 20.
Right.
Over in Elizabeth.
And they have 20 theaters there. Did you happen to notice how many theaters they actually had the movie playing?
How many screens?
How many screens?
It was at least 6, because they had 3D and they had IMAX going in that theater.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because here on the island when we went, Bill and I did a count. We went to the Island 16 and 8 theaters, a full half.
Yeah.
Were Black Panther.
Yeah. And that's at
Yeah, that's the regular one, 3D, and the extra awesome surround sound.
Right, the Megadocious. And that's on a Thursday release, which is not all. I don't know. I just kind of thought like the Thursday soft openings weren't like monster nights like that, but shit, no. Pre-sale on this thing.
Yeah, the pre-sale on this thing was $170 million or something like that.
Yeah, I would argue.
I don't even know.
I mean, I don't know what the raw numbers are, but I would argue that my experience at the theater seeing this was it was far more crowded for this than it was for Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, this was the number of theaters. I would have expected there to be more available seating when Bill and I went, and we got there when we normally get there, which is before any of the previews start, when there's usually plenty of room. We got stuck in a couple of side seats all the way up top.
Yeah. But I will say that we got lucky. Even though they ended up being like two babies in this theater.
Yeah, they came later than we did, so they had to go way down up front.
They came up close to us, though, because we were up high, and they came up walking up, and me and him like, oh, shit. that baby's going to be so close. And then they ended up near the front, which we immediately knew that meant we were definitely going to hear the baby because it's so close to the screen. Like, it's so loud down there sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then it was funny moment. The baby did make a noise at one point that was actually like, it fit in this break, and it was like this kind of a cuter baby noise. It was not a coo necessarily.
I didn't even notice.
But it kind of fit, and I heard some titters of laughter and some chuckles from the audience.
So, do you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's smash this open real quick. I'll just lay this groundwork. We're definitely gonna go full spoilers from here on.
Yeah.
If you want to jump out, you're listening. Yeah, we're gonna do full spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Come back. Needless to say, we all loved it. And we all give it high ratings and reviews.
Yeah, and if at this point if at this point you haven't seen it, we are all saying, shut the fuck up and go. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll be here when you get back.
Yeah, trust us on that. So, and I don't think anybody at the table would be upset that you're leaving. So just go watch this fucking movie and then come back.
That's like borderline rude. That's like, get the fuck out. Just go. Get out.
It's honesty.
I am from New York, you know.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Okay. So we're gonna do a spoiler review, but everybody here, we dug it a lot, and we'll dissect it a little bit and get into it, and what some pluses or minuses and whatnots, going forward. So this is like where you abandoned ship if you haven't seen it. So thanks for coming by, but
Spoilers ahead.
official sound effect for this particular kind of thing. All right, so where do you start? This was everything it needed to be. Like, this movie's got a thing where it's just layers of expectation on it, and for different facets and reasons. But in the end,
it delivers wholeheartedly, I think.
Like I think on just about every single level that this movie is supposed to. Like everything that you want it to be. Everything that if it was made like 20 years ago, they would have kind of screwed up or not gotten quite right. That would
not even tried.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
you can point out that it was a product that was in development hell for many, many years.
Yeah.
As you recall, Wesley Snipes had wanted to do this before the Blade days.
Yes.
So this was, as much as it was a property that surfaced into this Marvel Cinematic Universe with the hype and whatnot, this was also something that people had been yearning for many years.
Long time.
Yeah.
For a long time.
I think, that's absolutely evident by the sales of this, the numbers that this movie's making.
Yeah.
I think John Singleton was attached at one point.
Right.
I mean, it's gone through development for a long time, different ways.
For 20-something years.
But I think what's really kind of key, though, is that, Marvel's sensibility, even comic side, has changed. And their approach to Black Panther changed in the last 20 or 30 years, where it was he really wasn't front and center. Like, he was always around. Like, you know what I mean? This kind of thing. He was on the Avengers off and on throughout the 70s and 80s. And, they just kind of found the way to kind of say, and they really didn't change anything. It was as far as his background and all that, but their approach to him and how they used him and his role and his place, it's he's a top tier character. He should be around more. And then, he's part of the Illuminati of the Marvel Universe in the comics. He's integral.
Which was why it's a character that I thought that Marvel might take a chance on as a hit or miss back in those days.
Yeah.
Like Blade was. Like Blade was if this works, beautiful.
Right.
If it doesn't, we sacrificed a third-rate character.
Right, which is how they looked at it at the time, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
And it seemed like a lot of why Blade happened is because Snipes was attached to Black Panther for so long, and it just fell apart.
But Blade actually, of course, became successful, and we got Marvel, and boom.
Right.
But yeah, this definitely met expectations as far as a film itself. As you know, Civil War, his introduction.
Right.
People were very excited about it since the release of that film. But as the development of this came about, the hype for it has just exploded. And it exploded to beyond even Marvel's expectations, I think.
Yeah.
I think part of that's been in response to the way that the development of this movie has gone, and the fact that they keep, as they keep releasing images and information, it's like the feeling is they're getting it right. They're getting it right. They're getting it right.
Yeah.
Oh crap! They're getting it fucking right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just there's been no signs that it was really going to falter in any way. That they kept making the right moves in development. And boy,
in the end, when you finally saw it,
yeah.
And that's a big part of this. This has always kind of felt like one of the there's a reason why Marvel's got it at the back of their overall big slate of films. You know what I mean? Because it's like here's the one we know has to be right in very nuanced ways. It's not just a typical kind of superhero story. This is a character who basically, for all intents and purposes, might as well be on his own planet. Because we're tied so much into the country, Wakanda, and how different it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we spend almost all of the time there.
Yep.
Right. I think when you take a look at the character, you are taking a look at you're building the character as a kind of a skeleton that's similar to that of Captain America, and then you're building from there.
Yeah, there is an archetype.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's the solo. Yeah, there's that solo character archetype, strong-willed. In a position of some kind of strength.
Yeah, and very moralistic. You know what I mean?
Moralistic.
And actually, ends up being idealist more than anybody else. You know what I mean?
Because he's in the
end,
king.
and by the end, he's like, we need to change. We need to kind of the way we do things is not perfect. The way we've been doing things.
The fact that we have just kind of locked ourselves away.
Right, that was so secluded. So it was an interesting twist because I kind of felt like going in, I would have expected to see that as a turn point for the stuff at the end, kind of in a way. It seems to me like Wakanda is. As a Marvel thing, is just so tied to it being shut off from everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sure, more recently, I think in the comics, it's broadened a little bit, but still, I think they're a little bit more shut off than that you feel by the end of the movie that they're going to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think they're a little bit more reserved still in the comics. A little more those walls are still up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, one thing I would say that feels very different. I mean, this is still a Marvel movie. It still has all those hallmarks.
Absolutely.
But for the first time in a long time, you really felt Ryan Coogler's vision. Kind of, you felt there's a directorial voice that stands out in here. And just talking about the way people interact with each other and the way things work on a geopolitical scale.
Yeah.
It felt very personal in the way they talk about secrets and the way we keep secrets from each other, and it felt like he had a lot to say about communication, and the way that's brought out. And, I would also say the production design in here stands out more than any other Marvel movie I've ever seen.
Because it has, it's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that it's because of by the very nature of the story itself that we're going to this other place. We are just so immersed more than any other Marvel movies. Don made a good point earlier that in a similar way, Guardians of the Galaxy is this thing where it's a Marvel movie, but it's in another place. You know what I mean? We're fully immersed in it. It's the closest thing you can kind of point to in the Marvel movies. There's Guardians in a way where it's it doesn't look the same. It looks the most different. You know what I mean? It's not New York City, damn it. You know what I mean? And it's not a subway.
Right. That's why I feel like Guardians actually also excels in the fact that it shows us a place that we've never seen before.
Right.
Even on a scientific scale of science fiction films.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had some innovative ideas and whatnot, whereas this is actually showing us a different place within our world.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right.
But as far as showing an actual place and being innovative about it, we've seen that before in other films.
Right.
It's a little different because it's dealing with our world, our planet, and that whole technical achievement of that aspect works on a grand scale as well. But we've seen it before, though, in a Marvel film.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen this kind of
not this kind,
development design in a planet. It's almost like another planet.
Well, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? It's almost like something out of Star Wars in that it's very alien.
Right.
So.
The design is very futuristic cityscape.
Right.
So it all kind of, smacks of that. This world building that's done here, and then and the balance of it on multiple levels of, it's still steeped in all of its original culture, and that stuff rings through as much as it's got steel and cityscape going on. It feels everything is very rooted, and that's one of the things that was always probably seen as a challenge to other people in adapting Wakanda. It's like making these balances of different ends of the spectrum work. Like even T'Challa, he's a super brilliant scientist, a great political leader, superhuman, a guy who just wants, maybe to have a girlfriend a little bit once in a while. Yeah. Like his baggage is pretty steep. Like even with his character, you're spinning all these plates. They didn't lean hard on his science acumen. I mean, they do in the comics. Like basically in the comics, it's like his genius is lauded in the comics much more.
Okay.
In a regularly visited way.
Yeah, he's personally responsible for a lot of the technology.
Yeah, and he's much more.
Here they've given that to his sister.
Yeah, he's a little more Reed Richards, Tony Stark in the comics. Mm-hmm. They lean much harder on that, but that's so that when this story, he's in Wakanda, so the sister's got that baggage. If he was in New York, he'd be, in the comics, he's not over there as much, except for his main book.
And they spread out his supporting cast well. I think that Arrow has a lot to learn from this movie.
Arrow has a lot to learn, period, from a lot of different things.
I think
has a lot to learn from TV first.
Well, I think in the way
Barney.
The three main supportings each have a very, very specific role.
Yeah.
And that's well defined, and they work within that. And especially at the end, the way they worked together to achieve that goal, even though things were happening very quickly, they still found a way to keep together and focus on that plan and that objective.
Yeah. It's one of these things where it's a rare, it's one of these things where it's a rare achievement that something that's like an origin movie doesn't feel like an origin movie in a way. Like it just doesn't have that clunky feeling that sometimes you'll get in where it's like, okay, we have to set all these things up. All they do is set shit up. Don't get me wrong, but it all feels so smooth and effortless. Yeah. In a way.
That's because in this movie, doesn't end as an origin movie.
Right.
It begins, we get the origin, and then the story ends up being about how his father fucked up.
Right, and this
really doesn't have anything to do with him.
Right, and if it's anybody's origin story happens here, it's Killmonger's origin is the one you really get to see.
Right.
Well, the smart thing I like about this movie is that. The fact that they didn't really give you too much of an origin story, whereas the fact that they kind of relayed that information with the present activities going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was birthed in Civil War.
Right.
And they just kind of took that.
Yeah.
And you got the origin story.
Yeah.
You picked up on that as this thing goes along.
And you didn't even need Civil War in any way, shape, or form.
Not really, except for the one big incident where the king died in that sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that is covered.
Right. They rehashed that a few times.
I think this movie makes that scene potent a little more.
Well, the scene is potent and it's important, but I'm just saying, you don't need, because they show it to you and give it to you, you still don't need to have seen Civil War.
Right. But I'm saying, at least they planted that seed where there's this thing going on, and the fact that they use these third-rate Marvel characters to actually, and I'm talking about the Martin Freeman character and the Andy Serkis character, that they actually took these guys that were third-rate, kind of brought them into second-rate, and prolonged the Marvel Cinematic Universe along with this original story that they're telling, which I thought was brilliant in itself. So that it works on that level as well, I think.
We're into spoilers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Were you a little upset they killed Andy Serkis?
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like a kind of character, I don't know how much more you're going to do with him. He kind of feels like an overblown kind of henchman a little bit because he's secondary. He just feels like a nut job with a cool weapon, but he's fun, and you don't get to see him much and stuff. So I feel like that might be why I want more of him. Not so much of that character was so amazing, but he was fun.
That's where the origin story really ends, though. And the story about the father comes more into play.
Right.
The thing,
You know what I mean? His death is actually a little further along in that, but that's kind of
Sure.
like the last element. That's like anything similar to an origin story.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean? So that's where, like, where I was saying earlier about how this was really just the origin story was the first half, and the second half was being his father's story.
Right. Sure.
I
sure.
think a little bit of the heartbreak of that is the fact that Andy Serkis is so phenomenal of an actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To actually take this third-rate character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, bring him into the forefront for half the film.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then to actually kill him halfway through, it is a loss. It's a significant loss.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, as much as I loved Michael B. Jordan as an actor, because I thought he was great in Creed, this is the same guy that did Creed. And Michael B. Jordan is a phenomenal actor.
Yes.
Yeah, he
And I
did a
appreciate
phenomenal
it.
job in
And he
this
did
movie.
an amazing job. To me, I think that they should have maybe held on to the Circus character a
they could.
little bit more.
They could have given him more. Absolutely.
Given it a little bit significance. I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
But
They-
again, the reason why you feel that way is because of his acting,
Sure.
and his presence.
Yeah, you
know what
grew to
I mean?
love him.
But
In a way.
I mentioned to Ed that Circus's characters, his pop culture legendary
the
characters,
gamut that he runs.
Gollum is gone, Snoke is gone, Caesar's gone, and
Right.
now Claw is gone.
Everybody's dying.
But he's that good that I'm sure something else is going to come for him. And
well,
he's gonna
maybe
take it
maybe
off.
this is about getting in front of the camera now instead of behind.
Absolutely.
But he's got these.
absolutely.
He's all about these roles now, so he's going to be getting this kind of stuff for
Right.
the rest of his life.
Yeah, and the second he did that, I was like, fuck Killmonger.
You had something.
Yeah, well, I feel like it was a story hiccup that they had to kill him off because they couldn't have gotten
I was upset too.
the leader of that one tribe, the Blue Tribe,
Right.
the guy from Get Out.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. Yeah, you had to get Wakabi in.
They couldn't have gotten him to follow Killmonger without him bringing the dead Claw.
Well, not true.
Right.
All he's got to do is show his lip.
What?
No,
All he
but
really
like,
had to do is like walk up to him and go, "Look, I'm one of you.
He's got the
Bring me,
code-
bring
he's
me
got
to
the
the king,
code.
But
dude."
he was loyal to
yeah.
T'Challa until he
I know,
he
but-
completed his life's mission, basically.
Yeah, by like him bringing up, like that's what caused Wakabi to switch sides, to go with Killmonger, because he in the second he meets him, he does the one thing that T'Challa and T'Chaka
That's-
were both
well,
never
yeah.
able to do.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's like to me kind of cheap then that they fucking killed him.
Yeah, I was upset by it too. It was a loss.
well, he was also a dangler from the last movie he was in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the thing is, what I'm saying is that, he's like one of those actors that just excels in everything he does. You know what I mean? And to bring this kind of third-rate Marvel guy,
Yes.
to bring him into the forefront as a heavy in this movie.
I'm just upset we didn't see him in his comic book costume.
Right. You know what? But that you're
Red spandex, top to bottom.
But you're bringing a very valid point that I was trying to make.
Oh,
You're
okay.
actually bringing this guy, and he's so good at doing it that all of a sudden this guy comes and he kills him, like right in the middle of this movie.
Right.
You're like, I was upset by it.
right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, because he's a character that felt like it had some potential. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it was Andy Serkis or not, the character, and that's why like it kind of works out twofold, because it's like, oh, I didn't expect it right here, right now.
if it was a
but-
throwaway guy,
Yeah.
you wouldn't feel that way.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe they got something
Well, fair
bigger
enough,
for him
fair
in
enough.
store.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't mean like a throwaway guy. I'm sure they would have had another valid and well trained actor in there. But my point
Right.
being that, but I get what you're saying as a counterpoint.
But the fact that it's now Andy Serkis, and
Right,
this
right,
is
right.
a guy, this is an actor that has made a huge
Yeah.
staple in pop culture. You know what I mean?
Right.
The fact that he knows how to take these characters and bring it to a level, to have him bring it to that level, and then kill him halfway through this amazing
Yeah.
film
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're watching. I get what Dom is saying. It's a huge loss
I don't
to the film.
I mean, granted,
in a way.
I get why they had to do it. So,
Me too.
So it's
Me
like
too.
it doesn't bother me as much as I think it bothers
Right,
you. But
yeah.
I mean, granted, I wish we could have kept him, and
Me
I
too.
wish we could have kept
I wish he
Killmonger
worked.
also.
I wish he worked cheaper. They probably would have.
Exactly. And same thing for.
It might have been budget. I don't know.
It might be the same case for Michael B. Jordan with
Yeah,
Killmonger.
that's true. That's true.
But-
He's not cheap these days, I bet.
No, I bet not. I bet not.
He's another phenomenal actor, though, is what
Yeah.
I'm,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
say.
And
Now let's
And,
talk about
Dude, that-
Killmonger for a
yeah.
little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
tell me that reveal when he just took off his shirt with all those scars.
Yeah.
that really didn't like.
He put on some weight too, baby.
Yeah, he put on some muscle for this role.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I'm taking my shirt off."
Well, he was
He
also
started at
jacked.
Creed and he
Yeah.
didn't fucking stop.
Well, he was always kind. He was solid in Creed, but he was a little leaner.
Yeah, he looked
He's
more
a
ripped.
boxer.
He might have to
chiseled.
cut
Yeah.
a little bit because he's got Creed 2 coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
baby.
just gonna be working out forever.
Yeah, and also he, he's the second Johnny Storm to show up in the MCU.
You know?
and I,
Says a lot about those.
Well, we don't
Fantastic
talk
Four.
about that.
Says a lot about those Fantastic Four movies.
Really,
But
really.
But-
I don't think it was the actors.
nah,
Watch
nah.
Doomed,
The,
a phenomenal Amazon Prime film about Fantastic Four films.
And the great thing about him, like, it's another one of these aspects of the buzz you were hearing, like, is that really the thing? Like, are they gonna be able to live? Is that true? Is that gonna live up to it? And I was like, because I kept on hearing like, oh no, like he's really good, like. He might make you feel something for him, like, as a villain, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
with his backstory and with his performance.
Well-
And not for nothing, like, it was one of the most grounded backstories, like, ever done in a Marvel movie, first of all, kind of. And, I mean, some others might be just kind of similarly grounded, like the guy from Sokovia, his whole backstory, like, that's a very kind of real world thing, kind of done with a spin, and this is too. But, that, where, like, the pain comes from in him and his kind of, like the incubation point of his motivations, even though the motivations are spun to an nth degree, and I want to be king now, like, granted, but where it all starts from, it's just like this pain of a kid, that's like his dad, just being dead, suddenly out of nowhere. It's an interesting motivator. I kind of wish I got just a touch more of those in-between years somehow.
Yeah.
Just because all you know is him as a kid. Eventually, when you look back on it all, he's a kid, loses his dad, and then somehow ends up in the service and just focuses his whole life on revenge, basically.
And there's a very funny trick that's pulled here because when you take a step back, Killmonger is not wrong
I was just that was going to be my
in
point.
his motivations. He's not wrong,
Yeah.
but he is an asshole.
He's zealous, but he's got like a claim. But he's got like a claim. Like, you know what I mean? He's blood.
Yeah,
He's got a claim.
But I mean, just like in the way, the point that he's making, and the thing that he wants Wakanda to do, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But he's an asshole. So
Right.
fuck him.
He's not wrong, but
Which is
maybe
the
you're not-
hook to get him out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a thing where it's like, well, yeah. But you're not the guy we need doing it. We can't have you doing it. You're the
yeah.
wrong guy to do it.
I mean, I think it was to the point where, like, at one point during their exchange between T'Challa and Michael B. Jordan, I was kind of more siding with him than fucking Black Panther.
Yeah.
Right.
like,
Absolutely.
it really shows how
it's-
flawed they are.
Yeah,
And
and-
I think by the end of the movie, that's resolved.
And that's a rare thing too, because by the end of the movie, like T'Challa grows to accept a certain amount of his point.
Right.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? That like,
He adopts it almost.
you know what I mean?
Really.
Like, well, in a way, it's like, he wants Wakanda maybe to like, dominate the world,
Yeah.
but he does want Wakanda. Killmonger does want Wakanda to come out of the shadows,
Right.
to dominate, like, or whatever. But T'Challa's like, we got to come out of the shadows. Like, that is true. Like,
Right. Yeah, he's always kind of felt that. He, in the very beginning of the movie, he kind of feels that way. So, but yeah, this Killmonger was, I mean, the best villain so far in the Marvel movie, like you were saying.
I mean, as far as
Ooh.
Like-
it's
like
tough
his
That
line.
I can't agree with.
It's a tough line, but I think which is one of the ones that's like there's a certain amount of groundedness to him, where that puts him pretty high up. And the reveal of it all too is well done, and even down to the lazy eye and the guy playing young Forrest Whitaker. You know what I mean? That I didn't notice until like we find out it's him, and then all of a sudden like they cut to a shot, and I'm like, his other eye wasn't half drooping the whole time. I don't know about that. I got to go back and watch the early scenes now.
Shit might have happened.
Fun fact.
Yes, fun fact.
Forrest Whitaker,
Yes,
the young version of that character,
played by his son.
played by his son Denzel Whitaker.
Yes, okay, fair
who
enough.
You can also see them both in The Great Debaters.
Okay.
Directed- So I went to the New York premiere of that film.
Oh, I believe that you did.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm not surprised. If you were going to go to any premiere, it would
Yeah.
be for something about debate.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein walked past me.
Ooh, what did he smell like? Did you catch a whiff?
Did
Was
he
it
smell like Rose McGowan?
Was it lilacs? I'll just go with lilacs.
And but yeah, the credits to just watch the opening credits to that movie because you'll see Denzel Washington, Forrest Whitaker, Denzel Whitaker.
And you're gonna be like, I didn't know they had a kid. I didn't know they hooked up. Funny shit.
The valid points that the Killmonger's character, Michael B. Jordan, is trying to make cements his role as a solid villain, because he's taking that and he's going the wrong way with it. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people are buying into this, because the villain is strong.
Yeah.
Even Serkis's villain is strong to a point.
Right.
But I don't know if it's the best villain.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean in a way it's
it's
a tough call, but it's like we were talking earlier about like where does this movie really kind of stack up against other stuff?
Yeah. Like,
and it's kind of like there's like a top tier now with Marvel stuff where it's like it's like I don't know, it's like measuring freaking cookies.
Here's what I'll say. They're
all amazing.
No, the MCU's big weakness for all of these movies has been the villains.
Usually, yes.
Yeah, I would say.
Or just the villains kind
not
of story.
all the time.
Well, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, not all the time, but most of the time.
Most of the time, their motivations are pretty shallow.
Yeah,
They're weak. They're very simple. They look amazing.
Yes.
Sometimes there's great scenes.
I'd say their best villain's probably Loki, but the problem Loki's suffering from
Is that what you're saying?
Is that he's been around so long that he's kind of started to become a hero.
Well, he's Marvel's perfect heel, and he has always been. So he's going to translate that well into movies.
Yeah. So I mean, like the only front runner, I really like Michael Keaton. As Vulture.
That was one of them.
He's a top contender. The only other one I could think that I was really impressed with was Hugo Weaving as Red Skull.
But I also enjoyed Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. I enjoyed that a lot. No, I did. And I think it's because more along the lines that it's Jeff Bridges doing it.
Well, that's the thing.
And brings it to a level where it's...
that might be why you...
Probably.
It might be because you might have more of a love for Jeff Bridges or something, because I was like, I expected more from him out of it, actually.
From the Ironmonger?
From him, from the Ironmonger. But then also, too, it felt like a thing where a little bit with that, where it's like, this is some rough dialogue to have to do. I can understand why it might come off like it does sometimes. He's just so bellowing and like all of a sudden, where it's like, I know you were a douche for the first half of the movie, but now you're like I don't know.
I think his
maybe I need to rewatch.
Yeah, no.
I'll give you that.
Obadiah Stane's subtle moments are really good, but he's mugging more towards the end.
It is a thing where he's leaning into it. It kind of feels out of nowhere. There's a lot with that third act that I have issues with.
I think maybe they may have thought that if you've read the Iron Man books and you've seen Obadiah Stane in that respect,
but
that maybe brings validation to the character when you're watching the movie. But maybe if you're just watching the movie, and he goes to that length, that you're saying, all right, well maybe it's so.
No, Look, it's all a matter of degree of taste.
Yeah, I think we got to remember that movie was it was an early Marvel movie, so
Hey.
I think it holds up, though.
Of course it does, but I think it's going to have its flaws and things that they have been refined since then.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they made it again, I think his Obadiah Stane would be more refined.
Probably. I think that script would be probably like a lot different too. Imagine if they had made that later in the game or something.
I enjoy.
I think that final battle would be a little different.
Maybe we should rewatch it together.
Maybe that's what me and you need to do. Maybe we need to hold hands and rewatch Iron Man. And snuggle, do a little Netflix and chill. It might be on Netflix, actually.
Yeah. And then come over and you guys can watch Star Wars: The Last Jedi together.
Right. We're back to that?
Well,
Are we back to that?
I'm trying to do...
Yeah, we got 8 minutes left.
All right, so I will say, Bob, maybe start thinking about something we said earlier. I don't know if it was on mic, but that, this does feel like the distillation of Marvel getting the formula that they've done with a couple other things of how they present the first time around kind of story for a character, and this one lands on all of its cylinders. Nothing feels clunky. It's got a great smoothness to it.
The pacing. There's no slowdowns. When there's time periods of juxtaposition and storytelling, it's important. It's not superfluous.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's done. It's given the amount of time it needs. It's not drawn out in any ways.
Yeah.
And then we move on to the next issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I only have one scene that I was I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit at, and that's just when they're in
Rhinos?
When they're in, what did you say?
Rhinos?
Well, I guess there's a little bit of that too when the armored rhinos come out, and it might have just been because like the CG. Like, look, I get it. It's top, and it's a moving rhino with armor on it. And I'm not saying it looks silly, but it just
like
looked,
the rhinos.
But it just looked a little CGE. And sometimes the Black Panther flipping around, it was like, all right, it's like Spider-Man. Like it's just the CG way that I'm used to seeing Spider-Man flip around. It just felt like him, like only like for a split second, like in one shot.
And Wolverine did that maneuver too.
Well, that's what I'm actually getting to is the Wolverine maneuver of doing the 3-point K turn of the 3-point turn or whatever, the power slide of reaching over and down, but now pulling the whole car over onto 2 wheels.
What you don't think you can do that with a 2-ton car?
With just bare strength, no weight to throw, like like the weight. Like no, no, the physics kind of pulled me out a little bit. But hey, look, it was the one thing in the whole movie that kind of like,
And it happens really early.
yeah, and it's like. Amongst all the other crazy car stuff going on, like this is the thing that's gonna get me. Like I'll forgive it. Okay.
Yeah, that's like within the first 10 minutes of the movie, and you're introduced to every bit of technology in like 30 seconds that Wakanda has.
Yeah,
You know,
there's a little bit of that.
because suddenly she's like in an invisible car, and it's like, oh wait, she's controlling a real car.
Right.
And it's like, wow, wait, she's miles away, and he's talking to her like she's standing next to him.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that. I'll give you that. Like if you're like somebody who like isn't used to these kinds of really fast moving movies, like maybe like a grandma or somebody of a different age, maybe even a kid. Like there's a lot of going on right there that you might kind of miss because they just kind of like do it. Like, and it's just taken that you will infer what is going on sometimes, especially with a little bit of technology stuff. Yeah. But looks amazing as fuck.
Right.
This movie fucking hits on all the cylinders it's supposed to. I feel like we said that, but once again, it's Marvel fucking blowing it the fuck up.
Yep.
Expect this movie to do crazy things around award seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, this is. I feel like what Get Out's doing right now, and what everyone wanted Wonder Woman to do, this one actually delivers on.
Yes,
and
I feel like as far as the Wonder Woman thing, for sure, that like
this is the first superhero movie, and I just saw it a few hours ago, so I probably need that 48 hours to kind of rethink it. But my gut reaction is, I would not be surprised if you see this in heavy contention. A year from now.
Well, I think some contention. We'll see how the year goes for it. Like that's a lot of competition, but I feel like there are like other tiers of awards, Golden Globes and these kinds of things where like it's going to do a lot better than other Marvel movies have done. I will promise you that.
But like I'm not just talking technical awards. I'm talking screenplay, director, picture.
Yeah.
Like
but that's why I feel like some of these other smaller awards presentations. They might clean house in some of them. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's going to be a thing where, like it is a thing where, like, the hype machine is telling you that it's great, that it's really fucking good. And then when you go there and it's really fucking good. Yeah. So it's like, there's a certain amount of undeniability that it's going to get nominated for shit like crazy. Whether or not it wins, whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is probably going to start a fight in the last 3 minutes, but I feel like it's 5 out of 4 stars.
5 out of 4. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. 4. I'll just leave that in there. Yeah. I didn't get the whole thing, but
I don't have the strength.
I don't have the strength. So it lives up to the hype. I mean, and look, like hype machines are crazy. And you could say, like nothing ever really lives up to the hype, and that's true too. Yeah. But I think what you got to kind of, if you're grading like the world's reaction to anything on a curve, as you should always be doing anyway, right? Then that you'll go to this movie because the reason everybody's talking about it is because it's good. It's like when people keep telling me to watch a TV show.
Right.
Oh, shit, it turns out they were all freaking right because it was 20 people telling me this thing's amazing, go check it out. You know what I mean? So there's a certain amount of like, the hype machine is probably like, 85, 90% correct on this. It's super solid on its own.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just say it like this. Where I work, I'm the only person who has seen the movie.
Fair enough.
And the moment, and I've only mentioned this to 2 people that I've seen the movie.
Right.
But so that was like Friday, right? Yesterday, right? So now today, people are running up to me asking me how the movie is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Everybody wants to see this freaking movie. There's a reason for that.
Brother Dave.
I think this is going to have. I think this thing's going to get awards probably for its set design. Wardrobe kind of things.
All those kind of like lower end stuff, all that basic shit. But it's the creative ends, the visual ends.
Because they nailed all that. I mean, it's also unique and accurate to the cultures and all that.
Yeah. I think that's going to wrap it up. Really, we're running out of time.
Thanks, everybody.
We're down to the last minute. So
Thanks for coming, y'all.
Later, everybody.
Thanks for checking it out.
Go see it.
Go see Black Panther. It is worth the price of the admission. And that's it. Listen to us live on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mixler, mixler.com/wicked-theory. Find us at wickedtheory.com and on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all those iPod services and pads and pod things that you listen to audio stuffs on. That's where we can be found. We're usually a little bit more raunchy than this, Bo. I will say that. Not raunchy, but like a little more not safe for work.
Rock and fucking roll.
See, a little bit more of that. A little bit more cussing. Just so you know. It's better to know than to not know.
Couple 2-tree fucks.
A couple 2 a tree at least. Bare minimum.
Tree.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.